Hello everyone, this is Archana Mohite Bodke. Today we are going to study a poem from the textbook of Standard 12 English entitled Father Returning Home, composed by the poet Dilip Chitre. This poem draws a portrait of a suburban commuter. The father in this poem is a representative of the present day elder generation, and his painful loneliness is the symbol of man's isolation from a materialistic man-made world. Before meeting the father in the poem, let us meet the poet first. Dilip Chitre was born in 1938 and he left for his heavenly abode in 2009. He was a celebrated poet and translator who wrote in Marathi and English as well. Apart from being a writer, he was also a teacher, a painter, a filmmaker, and a magazine columnist. Exile, alienation, self-disintegration, and death form the theme of his poems, which suggests his inclination towards the modernist movement. His work highlights cosmopolitan culture and its inevitable impact on human life in an ironic tone, which is evidently seen in this poem. He translated the Marathi Bhakti cult literature in English. His most famous translation, Sej Tuka, won him the most coveted Sahitya Academy Award. Now let us come to our poem, Father Returning Home. My father travels on the late evening train, standing among silent commuters in the yellow light. Suburbs slide past his unseeing eyes. His shirt and pants are soggy, and his black raincoat, stained with mud, and his bag stuffed with books is falling apart. The poet tells us here that his father is a regular commuter on the train. On this humid monsoon evening, he is traveling back his home in a train, silently in the yellow light. Many suburban stations pass by, but he does not notice them as he is utterly tired. His clothes are wet, and the raincoat is discolored with mud. He does not even get a seat to sit upon and doesn't know that his bag carrying books is about to fall off his shoulder. He further tells us, the poet says, his eyes dimmed by age fade homeward through the humid monsoon night. The poet tells us here that his eyesight has been dimmed due to old age. As his destination nears, his faded, blurred vision longs to see the road taking him home. The poet paints his father in words ahead. He says, now we can see him getting off the train like a word dropped from a long sentence. He hurries across the length of the grey platform, crosses the railway line, enters the lane. His chappals are sticky with mud, but he hurries onward. Home again, I see him drinking weak tea, eating a stale chapati, reading a book. The poet says that his father gets down the train like a word that is separated from a long sentence, and he hurries for his home across the grey cement platform. Crossing the railway line, he takes the lane towards his home. He's so eager to go home that his mud-stained and sticky footwear also cannot hamper his speed. Now, the father has reached home. He drinks cold tea, eats stale food, and reads a book. Further, the poet says, he goes into the toilet to contemplate man's estrangement from a man-made world. This means that though he was eager to go home as soon as possible, he is not received warmly there. He is not taken care of, as he is not welcomed with hot tea and fresh food. Then he goes into the toilet and he thinks how a man-made world and a man's addiction to materialism had spoiled the human relationships. Coming back to the poem, the poet says, coming out he trembles at the sink, the cold water running over his brown hands. A few droplets cling to the graying hair on his wrists. His sullen children have often refused to share jokes and secrets with him. After coming out from the toilet, the father washes his hands and trembles due to weakness, and he shivers due to cold water and perhaps due to the thoughts going on in his mind about his lonesome life. The tremors in his hands could be due to some illness also. A few water droplets are still seen on his wrists. His ill-tempered children do not want to share jokes or secrets with him. The poet says he will now go to sleep, listening to the static on the radio, dreaming of his ancestors and grandchildren, thinking of nomads entering a subcontinent through a narrow pass. Thus, we have seen here, dear friends, that the old father has become unwanted in his house, in his own house. Now he will go to sleep listening to the radio. But the radio also, as it seems, has decided not to cooperate with the old father, because what all he can hear on the radio is just the static, that means the crackling sound and nothing else. Now the father decides to go to sleep. The poet tells us that the father will dream of his ancestors and his good old memories will be revived this way. He will try to relive his once good life with the help of these sweet memories and the dream of bright future of his grandchildren. This is all he can do to make his life livable. This situation makes him feel like a nomad who enters a subcontinent through a narrow pass. So this was about the meaning of the poem. Children, let us see the figures of speech deployed in the poem now. Let us say simile first of all. Like a word dropped from a long sentence. Here, the father getting down the train is directly compared to a word dropped from a long sentence. Because of this direct comparison, this figure of speech is simile. Then, onomatopoeia. Listening to the static on the radio. Here the word static suggests its sense, and hence the figure of speech present here is onomatopoeia. Then synecdoche. Eating a stale chapati. Here chapati, that is a part, stands for the whole, that is meal. Therefore, this is synecdoche. Now let us see the examples of alliteration. My father travels on the late evening train. Here, the sound of the consonant T has been repeated for musical effect. Next example, standing among silent commuters in the yellow light. Here, the sound of the consonant S is repeated. Then, suburbs slide past his unseeing eyes. Here, the sound of S is repeated pleasingly. Next example, stained with mud and his bag stuffed with books. Here, the sound of ST is repeated. Next example, fade homeward through the humid monsoon night. Here the sound of the consonant H is repeated. Next example, he hurries across the length of the great platform. Here the sound of the consonant H is repeated. Crosses the railway line, enters the lane. In this example, the sound of L is repeated. Then his chappals are sticky with mud, but he hurries onward. In this example, the sound of the consonant H is repeated. Home again, I see him drinking weak tea. Here the sound of H is repeated. And the last example, he goes into the toilet to contemplate. Here the sound of the consonant T is repeated pleasingly. And the next example, he goes into the toilet to contemplate. Here the sound of the consonant T is repeated. Man's estrangement from a man-made world. In this example, the sound of M is repeated. A few droplets clinging to the gray hair on his wrists. In this example, the sound of H is repeated. His sullen children have often refused to share. Here also, the sound of H is repeated for greater poetic effect, and hence all these are the examples of the figure of speech alliteration. In this way, dear students, with the effective use of the figures of speech and simple but vivid diction, through this poem, the poet gives the message that the elderly people are used in need by their own children but are neglected when they should be taken care of. We must always love and respect old people and not let them feel lonely and alienated in their own house. This is the message that the poet wishes to give through this poem, and the message is the need of the hour. I hope, children, you have understood this poem. Thank you for watching.